Thomas Edison was a remarkable inventor and entrepreneur. During his lifetime, Edison patented 1,093 different inventions, more than anyone else in history. These included the electric light bulb. Though electric light bulbs had existed before, Thomas Edison and his team of inventors worked to make the light bulb safer and more affordable, bringing light into homes across the country. Edison also invented the time card, used to keep track of hours worked, and the phonograph, a machine that could record and replay sounds on grooved cylinders. For the first time, sound could be captured and listened to over and over again. Thomas also invented the kinetoscope, one of the first motion picture cameras in the world. In Edison's Black Maria, widely considered to be the first movie studio in America, Edison either created or distributed many of the first films, including The Great Train Robbery. Edison believed in hard work. He once said that genius was 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Thomas Edison died in 1931 at the age of 84, but his brilliance continues to give light to our world today. Alexander Graham Bell was born in Scotland in 1847. Sound and the way vibrations worked was interesting to Alexander. His father was a speech expert and his mother was deaf. Alexander taught deaf people at a deaf school to speak by feeling the vibrations of sound. His research on hearing and speech led him to experiment with hearing devices, which eventually led to him inventing the telephone in 1876. Bell had said he wasn't very good with building things and working with his hands, so he hired a mechanic and model maker named Thomas Watson to create the first telephone device under his direction. Of course, the invention of the telephone made people excited, and it was very popular. Bell then went on to create the Bell Telephone Company in 1877. Just days after creating his telephone company, Bell married Mabel Hubbard, who he had courted for many years. They had 2 daughters, Marion and Elsie. After Bell invented the telephone, he went on to develop many new advances and inventions, such as the metal detector, hydroplane, and even early ideas on solar panels. Bell was a tireless learner, always looking for new ideas and ways to do things better. He died in 1922 in Nova Scotia, Canada. Taxes are paid by all citizens of the United States. You pay taxes on the money you earn, which is called income tax. And then you also pay tax when you buy something, which is called sales tax. It is actually a law that you have to pay taxes. The organization in the government that enforces tax laws is the Internal Revenue Service. The IRS began in 1862. It has the power to assess and collect taxes. They can also take property or income from people who don't pay their taxes. In 1913, the income tax became permanent when it became the 16th Amendment to the Constitution. This amendment gave Congress the right to tax the incomes of individuals and corporations. The government collects taxes to help pay its expenses. Some of the expenses that the government must pay are for federal programs that help and protect the citizens of our country. Think about the town you live in. You have a nice library where you can go to check out books. You have big parks and toys to play on. There is a police department that helps keep your town safe. There are also beautiful national parks and thousands of miles of highways. All of these things are paid for by tax money. To help decide what we are taxed on and how much we are taxed, we have representatives that we have voted into office. They represent our cities and states and let the government know what we think. To accomplish great things, it doesn't matter where you start out in life. African-American Garrett Augustus Morgan is someone who proves this. Born in March of 1877 in Paris, Kentucky, Garrett's parents had been former slaves. At age 14, Garrett moved to Cincinnati, Ohio to find work. Many African Americans his age had to quit school when they were young and find a job, and Garrett was no exception. He spent most of his teenage years working as a handyman, but education was important to this young man. Garrett hired a tutor so he could continue to learn despite his having to work for a living. At age 18, Garrett moved to Cleveland, Ohio, and worked repairing sewing machines. Here he came up with his first invention, a sewing machine belt fastener. Because Garrett was so good at fixing things and experimenting with new ideas, many business opportunities opened up to him. Garrett started his own sewing and shoe repair shop. Then he began to look around his community and saw areas he could help fix things in other ways. He helped organize the Cleveland Association of Colored Men, which helped improve economic and social conditions for the African American community. He also helped start a newspaper, an all-black country club, and donated money to African American colleges. But Garrett Morgan's influence didn't stop there. He invented hair care products, a traffic signal, and a safety hood smoke protection device. He saw the need for this device after watching firefighters suffer from the smoke they had to deal with while doing their jobs. This safety hood saved many lives and became very successful all over the United States. Garrett used his hood to successfully lead a rescue team into a tunnel under Lake Erie following an explosion. Garrett Morgan became blind from illness in 1943 and died in 1963 at the age of 86. Throughout his life, Garrett had to deal with discrimination because of the color of his skin, but he didn't let this stop him from continuing to experiment with new ideas and think of ways to improve his community.